The wooden plate. Once upon a time, there was a family consisting of a couple, their 9-year-old son, and a grandfather. They lived together in harmony. The father and mother worked to provide for the family and shared the housework. The boy went to school and was a good and resourceful student. When he was not in class, he enjoyed playing with his friends like children all over the world. His grandfather was now old. He had spent his life working manually from sun up to sun down. Through tiredness had never halted his efforts to provide his family with food and comfort. But so much labor for so long had a painful consequence. His hands trembled like the leaves of a tree in the autumn wind. Despite his efforts, he often dropped things, which sometimes smashed into pieces when they hit the floor. At mealtimes, he would fail to get his spoon to his mouth and food spilled onto the tablecloth. To avoid this, he tried to lift up the plate, but it usually ended up in pieces on the tiles of the dining room floor. It was the same day after day. He felt bad and apologized when these accidents happened. He wished he was still as strong as he had been. To spare his embarrassment, his daughter, the boy's mother, pretended not to notice as much as she could. "Don't worry, Granddad, this can happen to anyone," she told him while she gently stroked his hands. And she picked up the pieces from the floor as discreetly as she could. But the father, his son-in-law, did not feel the same. He was highly irritated by the grandfather's trembling. Finally, he took a decision that surprised and upset the rest of the family. The grandfather would eat apart from the family table and use a wooden plate. That way, he wouldn't stain the tablecloths or break crockery. From then on, the grandfather ate his meals off his wooden plate in a corner of the dining room. He softly moved his head in resignation and sometimes dried tears that slid down his cheeks. This humiliation was very hard to take. There was a cold and uncomfortable silence at mealtimes. The peaceful conversations and smiles had disappeared. Several weeks went by. One afternoon, when the son-in-law returned home, he found his son immersed in a mysterious task. The boy was working hard on a piece of wood with a kitchen knife. He was carefully shaving off bits like a master craftsman. After watching him for a few minutes, the father, full of curiosity, asked him, "What are you doing, son? With so much concentration. Is it a task set at school?" "No, father," replied the boy. "Perhaps it's a present for your mother?" The father insisted. "No, it's not a present," the boy replied without raising his eyes. "Then what is it? Can't you tell me?" "Of course I can, Dad. I am making a wooden plate for you when you are old and your hands sick." So it was then that the man learned his lesson. From there on, the old man once again sat at the table with the whole family. The father understood that If he did not respect the grandfather, his son would not respect him. Don't ask of others what you yourself do not do.